Yeah, frustrating way to finish the game. Felt like we responded really well after conceding early, got ourselves back in the game, and felt pretty comfortable going into halftime, and even coming out of halftime. I don't know when the trouble started, probably around 70 ish, but we challenged ourselves at halftime coming into the second half to not go passive, not sit low, and let them take the game to us. And I thought we did a good job of that for the first half of the second half, and um, it's a challenge. It's when we let them have a lot of the ball and bring the game to us, we take a lot of water, we take on a lot of pressure, and we end up conceding a lot of chances. And I think we can do a better job of managing the game, seeing the game out, being a little bit more mature to see what the game needs, and that's everybody. It's leadership, myself included, and but it's everybody kind of recognizing how we can take the sting out of the game, as some would say. So it's frustrating. Obviously 3-2 to 4-2. We're chasing the game a bit, but especially I think in the past we've seen when we concede one and two and three, and they continue to pile on each other. I think that as well is just as frustrating, and trying to reset. And again, that's a collective thing that there's no timeouts. You can't really pull everybody aside, but just collectively trying to respond better and in those moments.
All right, we'll open these up to questions. We'll start off with Keith Richards.
Hi, Keegan. Keith Richards, Team MBS Media. You said you mentioned the team had talked about not going too passive at halftime. I'm not sure if you saw tape, but it seems like Kansas City scores a lot of goals after 60 minutes. Is that something the team tried to prepare for, or was cognizant of, and kind of what was it just something that you were just not prepared for?
No, I don't think that particular statistic is something that we keyed in on, and specifically how this game went. I think it might have been a bit of a coincidence. I think we were fortunate to have the lead going into later on in the game, and again, I think it came down to ourselves, and I think that's oftentimes what we challenge ourselves to do is control what we can control, and that was us on the night. And I think at times we made it too difficult on ourselves, took on a little bit too much water, in the second half of the second half. So I felt like we started the half relatively well. I felt like we managed the beginning of the second half relatively well, but again, a collective effort to manage the game better, recognize what the game needs, maybe get a little bit more direct and compact, and direct with the ball, compact defensively, and at a certain point, try to shell up, and even though we tried to not do that to begin the half, and we didn't do that. So, but no, to answer your question, I don't think it was so much about them scoring late in games, but more about us and the way we managed the game.
All right, we'll go to Braden Nurse.
Hey, Keegan, thanks for the time. I thought the defensive unit back five, there were times where it looked good. You were able to take on that pressure, like you said, but other times where it looks like there were more brand new guys on that defensive line than there were not brand new guys. Is that to be expected? How tough can it be for a brand new unit like this to get on the same page in game action? And what are you doing to try to help that process?
Yeah, it's something that you try to take in stride, and especially we're not as familiar with a back five either, or back three, however you want to refer to it in that formation. And I think it's not an excuse. It's more, just those small tendencies. The margins are small in the league, and the moments are, the small moments in games are what, those goals, those moments that the defense breaks down, that the attackers have real quality. That's what changes games and wins games and puts you in better spot in the table. And those learning each other's tendencies, when to step, when to shift, how we shift, and knowing kind of the guy to your right, the guy to your left, how they like to move, and how we do that effectively together. And you saw a couple of times tonight where we want to try and be aggressive, and I step really far out as a wingback to maybe their fullback when he goes shallow, and if the timing is wrong by a split second, and Noah's not ready for that, or it just doesn't make sense for us, then the whole thing can kind of get pulled apart, and that trickle down effect happens really quickly. So it's It's a real challenge, and that's with new personnel or without. I mean, that's the game as a whole. And away from home, it's difficult in this league. It doesn't matter where the team is in the table. I mean, we saw that last week, saw it this week, and um, I think the big takeaway is we look at ourselves more so than the opposition in the way that we manage the game, and wasn't good enough.
Braden, again.
Keegan, you kind of alluded to it, but what is the message and the energy around the locker room after these last two matches?
Yeah, it's hard to hide the disappointment, of course. We're a locker room that's really good about feeling that disappointment and processing the result for the night, for the day. Obviously, this one is going to hurt a little bit more because we have a break. We'll think about it a little bit longer, but we're mature in that way. We're ready to move on to get into the next game prep, into the next match week, and get right back to it. We're as many times after we drop points and we still feel right there. If we string a couple results together, certainly take care of our home games, win our home games, and we've got some winnable away matches as well. We're right there, and it's there for us. It's totally there for us as we get down to the last part of the season here, and teams also feel that pressure as we get down to the last stretch. So everything to play for, and we just take all that motivation to the next match.
Keith.
I know it's disappointing to drop the 3 points, but is there anything positives, particularly in the first half, that maybe you can take away from this game with the game remaining to look forward to say, this is it, we just need to work on completing that for 90 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way we respond, conceding early is a real concern, and I think something that we need to address and look at ourselves for. But the response in the first half, the way we managed the rest of the first half, getting the 2 goals back and going into halftime is a real plus. And the way that we felt like we took control of the game there away from home for a large stretch of the end of the first half and beginning of the second half. So I think the caveat there is we could probably be a little more ruthless and finish a couple more chances there in the first half, and all of a sudden, we're up 2 or 3, and maybe we can manage the game differently in the second half. So definitely some positives. There almost always are in games, and we're not going to feel that as much when we kind of do some video review. But there are some things there. There definitely are, and some good moments for guys that are making their first starts, and really happy for those guys as well. I thought they looked sharp.
Take the last one from Braden.
Keegan, on a lighter note, both of your goals this season have kind of been odd ones. Just take me through the one you scored tonight. Did you know much about it, or you just try to react to Hoffa missing it and just try to get your body in the way?
Yeah, you kind of said it. I don't think it was quite as lucky as the one against Dallas. That one a bit of an anomaly, but this one, we have some of those rotations where wing backs can come inside and kind of be 8s, and Cole happened to pop out wide on that one, and I found myself kind of on the back post, and luckily Hoffa missed it. I don't think the defenders were ready for that either, and I don't know. I don't think anybody had a chest finish on their bingo card, so I'll take it. They all count the same. Happy to put us in a spot there where we're leading and battled back, and more so, I think it was a representation of the way we got back in the match and controlled things there for a bit and generated some chances. But thank you. I was happy to get on the score sheet, help the team, and hopefully more of those for guys that maybe contribute a bit more up top, like Hoffa and Cole and Paxton. But I appreciate it.